There has been a lot of conversations around this on mainstream media and also on social media, where a Chinese supermarket here in Abuja has been called out over its discriminatory policy of not allowing Nigerians to shop in that supermarket, and it's only allowed Chinese residents in Nigeria to shop in that supermarket. And there has been a lot of conversations around that. And today our focus is on, protecting the rights of consumers here in Nigeria and how to seek redress if faced with an issue of a discriminatory policy either here in Abuja or across the nation. And I'm joined now by my guest, who is a legal consultant at Citizens Gavel, Oluwaseyi Arowosebe. Thank you for joining us on Business Daily.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Okay, before we go to, the consumers' rights and how to seek redress, which we will definitely be doing later on, I will want to, hear from you. We have seen quite a number of actions come from the FCCPC, that is the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. How would you assess the actions of the FCCPC so far?
All right, so we must give credence to the FCCPC for what they've done. However, some of us Nigerians feel they are reacting to this act by the Chinese supermarket, whereas it should have been a proactive action in the sense that there should have been instances where they do routine checks on these supermarkets that have foreign ownership, that have foreign controls, to see whether they comply with Nigerian laws. Because when you do business in Nigeria, you're meant to comply with Nigerian laws. There are so many laws that they flouted already by the action that these guys have done. So the FCCPC is doing great work, but we expected that they would have been proactive by going ahead of that incident. And it also occurred to me that may not be the first time that this incident will happen, but it is now being reported on social media. FCCPC is now waking up to doing what they should have done prior to now. So it's fine. So we expect so much from them. Today is Wednesday. We expect that there should be a hearing today somewhere in their office, and then we're expecting the report of that and then further action that they would do. So they're doing fine so far, yeah.
Interesting take there, but let's go on a short break. When we return, we shall look at the, ways in which Nigerians can seek redress when faced with discriminatory policies such as this. So do stay tuned. You're still watching Business Daily, coming to you live on Trust TV. Just before the break, we talked about a matter that has been of major concern to most Nigerians, where a Chinese supermarket here in Abuja has been called out for not allowing Nigerians to shop within it, and that it is only restricted to Chinese residents in Nigeria. I still have my guest, who is Oluwaseyi Arowosebe, who is a legal consultant at Citizens Gavel. Going on from what we had, discussed before the break, you talked to how the FCCPC, I beg your pardon, was rather, reactive than proactive. But let's talk about, the legal backing and the legal angle to all of this. Are there specific laws and regulations in Nigeria that address, discriminatory practices in businesses, and especially those, targeting a different nationality? Let's start off with that.
Very well. So we'll start with the Constitution, which is the ground norm. The Constitution provides that no Nigerian shall be discriminated against by virtue of their age, their religion, their gender, or where they come from. So every Nigerian should have access to facilities that every other Nigerian have access to. So you cannot...
Every other Nigerian?
Yes. So you cannot preclude a section of Nigerians from accessing any facility in Nigeria. That is the word, in Nigeria. So, for Chinese to have, the Chinese people to have a restaurant, a supermarket running in Nigeria, they have no right to foreclose Nigerians from accessing the facility, from shopping, from trading, from doing a number of things. So that is just the Constitution, and that's the ground norm. There are other laws. There is the HIV and AIDS Act that talks about you cannot discriminate against people because of their status, because they are positive. So you cannot say you won't give them work, you won't allow them to shop in your premises because they're positive to HIV. There are other laws. At this time, I may not be able to mention them, but there are various laws that prohibit against discriminating against any Nigerian whatsoever.
Okay, so let's look at, ways to seek redress, because that is one thing that Nigerians have, tried to, because the guy who came out and made this public, just came on social media and recorded his experience at that supermarket. So looking at, ways that Nigerians can, seek redress, especially legally, what would your advice be? How can they go about issues like this?
So depending on where the infraction happens, you take it up. So for example, the SCCPC is in the right position to receive complaints and petitions in regard to what happened at the Chinese supermarket. So if any Nigerian feels discriminated against in any way, so depending on the law that has been trampled upon, the law would specify what to do to seek redress. So in many cases, it is a civil wrong that has to be checked. So you can actually claim damages against such practices. But in the case of SFCPC now, they have powers to prosecute persons who contravene business practice in Nigeria by discriminating. For instance, the SFCPC Act actually empowers the commissioner, the FCCPC now, to, apart from what they've done, which is to inspect the place of business, to paste closure orders and all that, and then they can summon persons who are alleged to have carried out these discriminatory practices, and then they can actually go as far as impose fines. For example, now, if anybody obstructs the SCCPC from carrying out their duty, they can impose fine up to 5 million naira. And if somebody is actually found guilty of obstructing the SCCPC from carrying out their duty, can go to jail for 2 years, as much as 2 years, or both. So a petition can be brought up against persons, business premises who discriminate against Nigerians and submit same at the FCCPC for redress.
Okay, still on petitions, because we do understand that on visiting the supermarket yesterday, that is the FCCPC, the owner of the supermarket was said to have fled. Is that, a different, let's just hear from you. What does that really entail?
So thankfully, the social media has come to help all of us access data, information about what has been going on. So I was able to also see the CCTV footage of a black SUV that was driving out, and it was said in that video that is the owner of that supermarket. And then I also saw that there was a padlock at the gate of that premise, so which means the officials could not even access the premise in the first place. So a lot of issues are already at stake. You've already debarred the commission from carrying out their duties because they were supposed to have access into that premises, inspect the place, and they actually have powers to seize documents and items. That is how powerful the commission is by virtue of the act that is established. So preventing them from doing their work is a contravention of a law on its own, and it is dicey. So eventually, when this owner shows up at the commission, she will be told what laws she has flouted already, and then she would break up her defense, if any. Yeah.
Okay, still on seeking redress.
Yes.
Let's talk to businesses. Let's talk about businesses that abruptly closes and leaves customers or users or consumers stranded. Yes. For instance, now we understand that business was closed yesterday, but we do not know as to whether that is a temporal or permanent closure. But what legal avenues are there, available for affected customers towards seeking justice in the case where a business shuts down and maybe shuts down permanently? Okay,
so if a business shuts down and it is not holding the money of its customers, personally, I do not feel that an obligation is owed to them. It is different if I have a standing order, having paid an amount of money. For the next 1 month, I would come every day and pick up an item at, say, 4 p.m. And then I get to and I've paid ahead of time. And then if it's starting 4 p.m., I come around, the place is locked, I have a right to sue. I have a right to seek redress. But if the supermarket is not holding my money and I go to their premises to shop to buy things, they can close down for whatever reason. It belongs to them. So they're not owing me anything. So it's different if I have paid ahead of time and I'm going to pick up items that I've paid for and they are not accessible. Then I can come against them to seek redress.
Well, I'm curious, Mr. Seyi. Okay, the guys who went to the supermarket and were not allowed access, the ones who brought it to social media, don't they have a case?
No, that was obvious discrimination. You get? We were never told whether they've paid ahead of time to shop in that supermarket. Their case was different. Their case was that Nigerians are not allowed to shop in this supermarket. And that was the case they brought to social media that all of us now have information and knowledge of. So it is different. So they have a cause of action against the supermarket, and which, of course, we're glad that SCCPC has now taken that up and is pursuing that rigorously. Yeah.
Let's talk to, collaborations between government and the organized private sector. Specifically in this case now, collaboration between the FCCPC and, lawyers and other, consumer rights networks that are in the public eye. So let's talk. How can, they collaborate to ensure swift action in cases like this? Because I first saw this video of the man who came out to publicly announce what he had experienced on social media, I believe on Sunday. And we didn't see actions up until, I believe, yesterday, that is Tuesday. Over 48 hours had gone. So to ensure swift action, what sort of collaboration should we, have in check to ensure that actions, like I said, are carried out faster than we saw in this case?
Okay, so as much as this, the box of this falls on the table of SCCPC, which have taken the bull by the horn already, we believe strongly that the private sector and organized labor have roles to play also. The government can't do it all alone. We don't definitely have resources to do it all alone. So CSOs can come in to make the necessary noise, the necessary advocacy, to campaign against such actions. So for example now, the action of SCCPC must be televised as much as possible. It must be streamed on every platform, so every Nigerian should know what is going on, so that something of such does not happen again. Now, for the people in the private sector, let me speak to CSOs now, NGOs and all that. This is a good time to educate the public, educate the audience, educate people in rural areas, even urban areas like Abuja, for example. Educate them, let them know that this kind of thing is wrong, shouldn't have happened in the first place. So everybody must come out to play their roles. There's something everyone can do. We must not keep quiet. Mere retweeting the action of SCCPC is something that would help, to go far to other people. And then educating, going to sensitize people about what their rights are, especially as regards accessing public places, is something that cannot be taken for granted. Yeah, exactly.
Still on accessing public places, this is not the first time we are seeing something like this happen. I remember about 2 or 3 years ago, there was a case where Nigerians were not allowed into a certain restaurant in Lagos. So that now brings us to, has there been, looking at precedents, has there been times where there was indeed justice carried out against, discriminatory acts here in Nigeria by foreign nationals? Just can you take us through history, has there been a time where Nigerians indeed had justice against such acts?
Yeah, if I'm going to be specific, I'll be speaking to a particular labor-related matter that I personally handled for my organization, Citizens Gabriel. A Nigerian worked with, unfortunately, a Chinese company also. And then, so in the course of the employment, he was maltreated by a superior in the office. He was beaten black and blue. And what he did was to report to his superiors, the seniors, everyone in the office, copy them in the emails. And 2 days after that, they told him they were going to look into the matter, they would investigate, they would do. The next thing, a week after that, they sent him a query that he should respond within 2 hours why he should not be fired or something. Before you know it, another mail came in, he was fired. Somebody who was maltreated, who was rough-handled in the course of employment for a foreign organization, a foreign national in Nigeria, on Nigerian soil. He was the one who went through the humiliation, who was beaten, who was harassed, his phone was broken, his eyeglass and all that, and then he was fired. Summarily, within 10 days, he was fired. We took that matter to court, National Industrial Court, and we got judgment for him. We won. So I can say here, right here, that there have been instances where Nigerians got justice for discrimination at workplaces. I can say that. Now, this issue that is currently burning is another precedent for us. We look forward to the outcomes of the actions of the CPC when the owner of the place eventually goes to go and answer to the complaint, petition against her. We look forward to what would happen so that it can also form precedent for the near future. Yes.
We're talking about what we're looking forward to. What specific actions do you expect to see from the FCCPC? Last we checked, there was a summon, for the owner of, or towards the owner of the supermarket by the FCCPC. But if that, or when the owner of that supermarket eventually, shows up, what do you expect to see?
Okay. In the first place, whatever policy they operate in that supermarket has to be reversed. Whatever policy that debars Nigeria from accessing that place on Nigerian soil has to go down. There should be some form of penalty, like a fine has to be paid to government to serve as a deterrent to other persons. I wouldn't say at this point that we should send that woman to jail, no. But of course, they should feed the heat to an extent so that they don't do such again. So that other foreign-owned supermarkets and business premises would not indulge in such. I won't be surprised if there are other supermarkets in Nigeria that practice that. So with the example of the Chinese restaurant, I keep calling it restaurant, I don't know why, Chinese supermarkets in Abuja here, this will serve an example to others, and it should never happen again. We should never see such again. And then, when SCCPC finishes their work on this very case, they should go out. They should go out and then go and check other supermarkets owned by foreign nationals. See whether they comply with Nigerian laws, Nigerian labor laws, Nigerian economic laws, Nigerian, and all that, yes.
Okay, before we go, because our time is already fast spent, you know, some Nigerians are not even aware when it comes to their rights. And that, to me, is a major impediment for, you know, having the law take its place. I would like for you to speak to Nigerians that are watching now. You know, some of them, because when this came out, some of them were saying, I mean, if you're not allowed in the supermarket, why do you want to go in? So Nigerians are not even aware. But I'd like for you to speak to Nigerians, you know, about their rights when it comes to accessing public spaces as Nigerians in Nigeria.
Okay. So chapter 4 of the Constitution gives Nigerians very many rights. You know, we call this chapter the right to life, right to freedom from discrimination. There is right to freedom of movement. So as a Nigerian, you have every right to access public and private places, of course, within the bounds of law. It is not as if you should go and trespass in a place that doesn't belong to you, that you have no right to go to. For example, I shouldn't just wake up and then go and flaunt myself on SSS, for example, and say, I just want to go and see your environment. No, I should be there on specific business purpose. Do you get? So as a Nigerian, you have a right to access public and private places within the bounds of law in reasonable hours. So if a supermarket opens between the hours of 7 a.m. and 9 p.m., every Nigerian has right to access that place and do their shopping. A place of worship is opened for a number of hours. Every Nigerian has a right to go, of course, practicing either Muslim, Christian, or whatever. So you have a right to access those places. So nobody should be shut out from accessing public places for any reason whatsoever. For any reason, so if discrimination should not come up, we should never hear of such again in our country.
We hope and we expect that, like you have rightly stated, we never hear of such again in our country. I have been speaking with a legal consultant at Citizens Gavel, Oluwaseyi Arowosebe, and he has been speaking to how, you know, to protect the rights of Nigerians and the rights of consumers as a whole, and how to seek redress when faced with discriminatory acts, just as we saw in the Chinese supermarket right here in Abuja. Thank you again for all the insight you've given to us.
Pleasure
This
is
morning.
all mine. Thank you for having me.
Well, this is where we draw the curtains on today's edition of Business Daily. But join the conversation on social media and let us hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts on what has been done so far? That is the actions that have been taken so far by the FCCPC. My name is Chiamaka Enendu. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.